Hey everyone, Dave here with another Blu-ray DVD collection update / haul video. This is the third video for July 2022, and in this video we're going to be taking a look at a whole bunch of brand new releases that have been sent over to me from my pals over at kicks.com.au and Random Space Media. We'll also take a look at a whole bunch of personal pickups that I've grabbed for myself over the last couple of months, both online and in store. There have been a whole bunch of sales, JB Hi-Fi, Amazon, eBay, you name it. I went wild. So as per usual, there is a whole bunch of stuff to take a look at in this video, so let's get into it. So as I said, I have done two other videos for July 2022. In the first video, I covered off about 2 or 3 months worth of stuff from Imprint and Viavision. The second video, I covered off like 3 months worth of stuff from my friends over at Umbrella Entertainment. In this video, basically just gonna throw out everything else that I've either been sent in or picked up over the last couple of months. Yes, I am on a little bit of delay. I didn't really upload anything last month. As I said in the previous two videos, plethora of reasons. The mail system has found itself a little bit clogged again. A bunch of stuff has been sent to me on a bit of a delay. I was ill a couple of weeks ago. I came down with like a head cold thing, and I took a week off for that, and then the week following that I took off my just like standard yearly mid-year break for about a week and a half that I always need to do just to kind of hit that refresh button. It's a very slow time of year usually for me for content, so it's a good time to kind of step back and just take a week or so off. So yeah, I have fallen behind on not only watching but being able to review all this stuff and whatever, and it's just taken me a while to kind of catch up on everything and watch as much as I can. So by the end of this video, we're pretty much caught up, except for a bunch of stuff that is going to arrive tomorrow. So I'm gonna have a whole bunch more stuff to watch, and then that'll go into next month's video. It is a never-ending cycle, but I absolutely love it. I love doing this for the distributors and for everyone out there watching. As I said, in this video, we're gonna be covering off a bunch of stuff sent in to me from Random Space Media. We're gonna be having a look at a bunch of stuff that I've picked up for myself personally over the last few months in online and in-store sales, whatever. But first off, we're gonna start off with about 2 months worth of titles that have been sent into me from kicks.com.au. Of course, you can head over to kicks.com.au and use the code DAVE15 at checkout to get 15% off your entire order. That doesn't just include in-stock items, it includes pre-orders, it includes sales stock, it includes absolutely anything that you can find on that website. And throw in a card, use Dave15 and you get 15% off your entire order. So with that, let's get into the titles that kicks.com.au sent me this month. First up, let's take a look at a couple of new release movies that have been sent in on physical media. We firstly got Robert Eggers' The Northman. From visionary director Robert Eggers comes The Northman, an action-filled epic that follows a young Viking prince on his quest to avenge his father's murder. It stars Alexander Skarsgård, Nicole Kidman, Anya Taylor-Joy, Ethan Hawke, and Willem Dafoe. This collection comes in a standard Amaray packaging and includes both a 4K ultra-high definition disc and a Blu-ray disc. Now, I've been wanting to check out The Northman ever since it came out, like what, 3-4 months ago in cinemas. I missed my media screening of it, and then I did mean to catch it at the cinema, but the only time they were playing it was just at really awkward times. It was either like smack bang in the middle of the afternoon or late at night, like 8:30. This is a 2.5-hour movie, and my local cinema plays 20 to 25 minutes worth of ads. So by the time the movie starts, it's 9 o'clock. I'm not out of the cinema until about 11:30, and I'm getting old, guys. I can't be doing this. I'll be falling asleep in the cinema at that late. So I was kind of waiting for this to come on physical media. This has recently arrived, and unfortunately, I just have not had the time to watch the full movie yet. I am so excited. I need to find the time to have that 2.5 hours. But look, I have had a quick skim through the Blu-ray, and it looks gorgeous. This is such a beautifully shot movie. I love the work of Robert Eggers. I only just recently watched The Lighthouse, which I thought was terrific. So I'm particularly very excited to check out The Northman for that reason. But this is a really beautiful transfer on 4K. The movie looks very filmic. It's got a very beautiful like color palette and beautiful blacks and shadows and all that kind of stuff. But if you do want to pick up this movie, I highly recommend getting it on 4K because it looks stunning. And yes, it is a mark above the Blu-ray, which also looks really great too. This is movie, the clips that I have seen of this, it is very, very, very violent. So it's not for the squeamish of stomach. But I promise I'm going to watch this very, very soon. I'll post my thoughts of it online. Next up is the collector's edition of Michael Bay's Ambulance, starring Jake Gyllenhaal, Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, and Isa Gonzalez. In this action thriller directed by Michael Bay, veteran Will Sharp, desperate for money, turns to his adoptive brother Danny for help. A career criminal, Danny instead offers him a huge score, but when their heist goes awry, the desperate brothers hijack an ambulance with a wounded cop and EMT on board. Will and Danny must evade a citywide law enforcement response, keep their hostages alive, and somehow try not to kill each other, all while executing the most insane escape LA has ever seen. This set comes in a standard Blu-ray case and features both a 4K ultra high definition disc and a Blu-ray disc. Alright, so I did get a chance to check out Ambulance, and man, did I really love this movie. I'm just a big sucker for these big, bombastic Hollywood, sort of, I guess, modern day epic movies. Michael Bay is a filmmaker who I've been a little bit like hot and cold on over the years. I'm not really a big fan of the Transformers movies, but pretty much everything else that he has done, I've really, really loved, because again, they're just big, bombastic, just dumb movies that, you know, you flick your brain off and you just enjoy a wild ride. Ambulance, in particular, is one that is really great. And what I really love about this one is that it really latches on to modern day, contemporary filmmaking technologies and techniques. This one in particular uses some really great drone cinematography. Now, as these drones are getting a lot safer to use, they're getting smaller, more compact, they're getting easier to fly in between spaces that they weren't able to fly in even like 5 years ago. Drone cinematography has become absolutely stellar, and this movie really highlights the best of the best. This movie is a movie that needs to be viewed in the highest quality possible. It was shot between 4 and 8K. It had a 4K digital intermediate, so this is, you know, as true a 4K presentation as you can get, and it looks absolutely stunning on the format. Not only is it crisp, is it clear, but the colors are fantastic with the HDR pass. The Blu-ray looks fantastic as well, but the 4K is really leaps and bounds above that HD presentation. Next up, it's Morbin time. We have got Morbius starring Jared Leto. One of Marvel's most compelling and conflicted characters comes to the big screen as Oscar winner Jared Leto transforms into the enigmatic anti-hero Michael Morbius. Dangerously ill with a rare blood disorder and determined to save others suffering his same fate, Dr. Morbius attempts a desperate gamble. What at first appears to be a radical success, a darkness inside him is unleashed and transforms this healer into a hunter. This set also comes in a standard Blu-ray case and features both a 4K and Blu-ray disc. Haven't had a chance to watch this one just yet. This quite literally just landed in my lap a couple of days ago, but I wanted to get it into a video and out there. I promise I am gonna watch this probably over the next couple of days and report my thoughts on the movie itself online. So if you check me out on like Letterboxd or wherever you follow me, I'll be posting my thoughts on Morbius. Look, I'm keen to have a look at this. I haven't been the biggest fan of what Sony are trying to do with their Spider-Man IP, all these kind of villain movies and stuff. I've never really been a big fan of what Sony has done with Spider-Man, full stop. I love the stuff they've been doing with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, with Marvel and Disney, but whatever they're doing sort of independently to that, haven't been a big fan. This movie has been mixed. Some people love it because it's just so over the top and campy and crazy and stupid. Some people are just legitimately really loving this movie, and other people just are absolutely hating it, and they're saying it's like a load of trash. Again, I said I'm not really a huge fan of what Sony is doing here, but I'm gonna go in with an open mind and hopefully find some enjoyment from it. If not just a bit of like dumb enjoyment over how dumb or how stupid or whatever it is. I'm not a big fan of Jared Leto either, so I feel like the odds are stacked against me for this one. But look, I'm keen to take a proper look at this. I did pop in the 4K disc though and have a look at it, and it looks quite beautiful. This is a movie that pulls up really, really nice on 4K. It's got a really nice color palette. It's crisp, it's clear, the HDR pass is beautiful, really, really nice blacks and whites in this too. So it pulls up looking quite good. The Blu-ray looks good too. There wasn't I didn't see a huge upgrade between the 4K and the Blu-ray. So if, you know, you're kind of on the fence about picking up on 4K, maybe just grab it on Blu-ray. But if you do like to have the most superior version, definitely go for the 4K. There is a pretty minor difference there. Next up, we have got Kenneth Branagh's Belfast on Blu-ray. Belfast is a poignant story of love, laughter and loss in one boy's childhood amid the music and social tumult of the late 1960s. Buddy's family lives in a largely Protestant district with a few Catholic families, but one day his community and everything he thought he understood about his life is suddenly turned upside down. Buddy's family gets caught in the mayhem and must decide to stay or leave the only place they have ever called home. Belfast stars Katrina Balfe, Judi Dench, Jamie Dornan and Jude Hill. This set comes in a standard Amaray case with a single Blu-ray disc. Now, I caught Belfast when it was playing in cinemas and absolutely adored it. This is such a wonderful, beautiful, charming, heart-wrenching, life-affirming movie of the kind that I really, really love. I love these really small, intimate kind of stories about family and love and togetherness and all that kind of stuff. I'm also a big fan of Kenneth Branagh as well, and this is obviously his most personal work I think he's ever done. This is based sort of on his life as a young lad growing up in Belfast amongst you know, the rising troubles. You know, it is set on the backdrop of this kind of horrific time in this history, but it puts this really beautiful human heart to it as well and shows the love and laughter that does come out of a horrible situation that is such as this. I really adored this movie. I did pop the Blu-ray and had a very quick look. It looks stunning in HD. This movie was shot in black and white, or at least the movie itself is in black and white, and really gorgeous black and white cinematography in here. There's really, really dense blacks, really great whites, and everything just kind of really bursts. It's a very cinematic looking movie too. It's absolutely beautiful. I really wish they had put out a 4K release of this, because I could just imagine how great this would look in 4K. Unfortunately, there has been no 4K release anywhere in the world at this moment, so the only way you can pick it up is Blu-ray, but no complaints here. It looks gorgeous, and it's such a stunning movie. You gotta check it out straight away. Next, we have got The Duke on Blu-ray. 60-year-old working-class Geordie Kempton Bunton pulls off an audacious heist of Goya's portrait of the Duke of Wellington from the National Gallery in 1961 and demands £140,000 to be paid to a charity supporting the elderly. When his attempt to hide the painting from his unsuspecting wife Dorothy fails, Kempton decides to return the painting and finds himself forced to protest his innocence in court. The film stars Jim Broadbent, Helen Mirren and Matthew Good. I absolutely adored The Duke. I love these kind of small, quirky little British movies, particularly these ones that star like these elderly leads. I just think they're so cute and so fun. This really is such a beautiful little movie. It's so funny and so charming, and I just had so much fun every step of the way with this. It's another one of those true stories where you watch it and you're like, how is this true? How did this guy actually do this? It's absolutely wild. The Blu-ray looks fantastic. It's like, you know, your standard Blu-ray transfer of a pretty standard little small movie. Looks great on HD. The clarity is really wonderful. No 4K of this one on the market. That's not really a movie that really needs one. So if you want to check this one out, I highly recommend picking this movie up on Blu-ray. You won't regret it. We've also got the Blu-ray release of Jackass Forever. Older and greyer, but not wiser. Johnny Knoxville and the gang are back for another outrageous round of stunts and bad ideas, with new friends and loads of celebrity guest stars. The crew take pranks to ridiculous lengths where absolutely no one is safe and all senses are frayed. What more can be said about Jackass Forever? This movie was so great. Saw this in a cinema, and I think I've had the most fun I've had in a cinema for years and years and years. I grew up with the original Jackass series and the original Jackass movies. I've seen all of them in cinemas, and they're always just such a fun time. The great part about this one is that the gang are all back, and they're all old, as they will say, and it's just funny to see old guys doing these, you know, stunts that they were doing 20 years ago when they were, you know, substantially younger guys. This pulls up looking great on Blu-ray. I mean, what do you expect from one of these movies? They're filmed very cheaply. I mean, these have got big budgets now, but they're still filmed in that kind of classic guerrilla style that they did the original series and the original movies. And look, it pulls up just looking fine on Blu-ray. There's, you know, this isn't a movie that I'm gonna pick apart the transfer of. It looks perfectly fine. Definitely, if you love your Jackass, if you got all the other movies, definitely pick this one up. If you're not into this kind of stuff, well, it would be certainly safe to just say, just keep walking. Avoid this one, because it's crazy. It's probably the craziest Jackass ever. easily. Next up is DreamWorks' The Bad Guys. After years of countless heists and being the world's most wanted villains, the gang is finally caught. Mr. Wolf brokers a deal to keep them out of prison, and the bad guys set out to fool the world into believing they've gone good. Packed with huge laughs and edgy action, being bad has never been so fun in this action comedy from DreamWorks Animation. The Bad Guys stars the vocal talents of Sam Rockwell, Mark Maron, Craig Robinson, Awkwafina, and Anthony Ramos. This set comes in a standard Amaray case with a single Blu-ray disc. The Bad Guys is easily my favourite DreamWorks movie of the last number of years. It's probably up there as being one of my favourite DreamWorks movies of all time. I had so much fun with this. The creators have described it as a Tarantino for kids, which is certainly on the mark there. This is just such a fun, great little quirky action comedy heist romp. The kind of movie that is right down my alley, and it's animated to boot. There's beautiful animation in this. It's of course CG animated, but it utilizes that kind of hybrid technology where you also have like the traditional kind of outlining and etching and all that kind of stuff. It looks so great. It's like the kind of thing that we had in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which is one exception of what Sony is doing with Spider-Man that I really loved. I should put that out there. But yeah, this is so good, and it pulls up looking really good on Blu-ray as well, as all animation does. It's very crisp, and the colors absolutely burst off the screen. They look so great. There is no 4K of this on the Australian market, sadly. This did get a 4K release over in the US. Would have been nice to get it on 4K, but I always say there's never like a huge markup on a 4K release of an animated movie. You never see like a huge like difference between the two transfers, but it still would have been nice to get it on 4K. It seems that Universal have stopped releasing DreamWorks movies in 4K in Australia for some reason or another, not too sure why. I don't know, maybe Random Space Media at some time down the line will reissue this one on 4K, but I'm not too sure just yet. I'd love to see them put out a 3D of this movie though, because there's some great elements that would look great in that format. Next up, we've got another animated film, in fact an anime by Mamoru Hosoda, Belle. Suzu is a shy, everyday high school student living in a rural village. For years, she has only been a shadow of herself. But when she enters You, a massive virtual world, she escapes into the online persona of Belle, a gorgeous and globally beloved singer. This release also comes in a standard Amaray case and includes a single Blu-ray disc. Belle is a gorgeously animated movie. I wouldn't say that I'm not a huge fan of anime, but I just have not had the exposure to anime that I have had to Western animation. Anime is wildly expensive to buy in Australia. I don't know about other parts of the world, but it's so expensive to buy any kind of anime movie or series or anything. So it's just something I've never really picked up much of over the years. This movie though looks absolutely stunning. I haven't had a chance to check this one out properly just yet, but I've taken a quick look at it. I've watched the trailers, I've watched clips, and this movie is absolutely beautifully animated, as I said, and it just looks like such a great, you know, life-affirming movie, and I really am so excited to jump into this one. As I said, I did take a look at the film's Blu-ray disc, and it looks quite nice. It pulls up quite well in HD, really great bursting colors and all that kind of stuff, but I think there are a few kind of encoding issues on here. It's not as kind of as sharp as you would expect for an animated movie on high definition. It simply just doesn't have that clarity that I was really expecting from this. Disappointingly, there's no 4K of this on the Australian market either. I think this would really shine on 4K. I think it would look like absolutely stunning. I think they did release a 4K release over in the US, but it was like a limited edition thing of only a certain number of units were released of that. But look, again, I'm so excited to have a look at this movie because it just looks so beautiful. But if you've been wanting to get your hands on it, I would recommend the disc. It doesn't look as great as I'd hoped it would, but yeah, you can grab it right now. Next up, we've got a couple of catalog titles newly released on 4K, starting with Beverly Hills Cop 2, starring Eddie Murphy. Axel Foley is back where he doesn't belong. This time going deep undercover to stop a gang of international munitions smugglers. This edition comes with a single 4K disc. I've been incredibly impressed with Universal's handling of back catalogue titles on 4K. Beverly Hills Cop 2 is absolutely no exception. This looks absolutely wonderful. I never thought this movie would ever look this good. The movie's never pulled up, none of the movies, except for maybe the first one, pulled up looking very good on Blu-ray ever. This movie has obviously been restored from the ground up. It is crystal clear, it is crisp, it is beautifully filmic, a really nice fine layer of grain across the entire image. Some instances there's lots more grain, but it looks very, very cinematic. I'm so happy with how this looks. I love the Beverly Hills Cop movies, they're so great. Eddie Murphy is one of my favorite performers of all time, particularly when it comes to comedic performers, and this franchise I absolutely love, so it's great to get the next installment in the Beverly Hills franchise on 4K. Hopefully the third one is not too far around the corner. We've also got Stephen King's Cat's Eye. This one comes to us from the Classics Remastered line. This anthology horror film comprises 3 short films which are adaptations of Stephen King's short stories. A stray cat is the linking element of these 3 tales of suspense and horror. Among many others, the movie stars Drew Barrymore and James Woods. Cat's Eye is a movie I've been wanting to get on Blu-ray for such a long time. I'm a huge fan of Stephen King's works, and I'm a huge fan of movies based on Stephen King works. Umbrella released this movie on Blu-ray a number of years ago now, and I didn't pick it up, and it went out of print very, very quickly. I could never find it. Could never ever find it in store. I maybe saw it there 2 or 3 times, and then it just disappeared, very sadly. But thankfully, it is now back out of the market with an official studio release, which has been handled by Studio Canal. Now, we know Studio Canal put so much beautiful effort into their 4K back catalogue remasters, particularly when it comes to this, this range of Classics Remastered, or as they're known in the UK, Vintage, I think it's called the Vintage Collection, or Vintage Remastered, or something like that. It's the same collection, essentially. But Studio Canal are one of the absolute best on the market doing these great back catalogue reissues, and just as all of theirs, Cat's Eye pulls up looking absolutely stellar. This is a beautiful, beautiful looking movie. The colours are fantastic and they shine like you never thought they'd shine. This is an incredibly cinematic looking movie too. This is an older film that hasn't really had, hasn't really been given its dues over the years. I think it's been a little bit overlooked. Hasn't been treated that well on physical media in the past, but it's so nice to see this get this really beautiful, pristine presentation like you probably never thought you would ever see for this movie. So glad to finally get my hands on it, and in such a fantastic collection right here. Unfortunately, it doesn't come with a Blu-ray disc as well. Some of these Studio Canal releases only come with the 4K disc and not the Blu-ray. There is an individual Blu-ray available on the market as well, so you can choose which one you want to pick up, but the 4K is absolutely the way to go. We've got another Classics Remastered title right here on 4K disc, which is Doctor Who and the Daleks. Doctor Who and the Daleks is based on a story from the BBC TV serial Doctor Who. An inventor, Doctor Who, accidentally activates his new project, the TARDIS, a time machine disguised as a police telephone box. Doctor Who, his 2 granddaughters, and Barbara's boyfriend Ian are transported through time and space to the planet Skaro, where a peaceful race of Thals are under threat of nuclear attack from the planet's other inhabitants, the robotic mutant Daleks. Once again, this comes in a standard Amaray case and is presented with a single 4K disc. So you may know that I'm not a huge Doctor Who fan. I've never been able to get into the series, the older ones or the newer ones. It's just something that is just a little bit outside of my, I guess, comfort zone when it comes to sci-fi. This is the kind of stuff that I never really draw myself towards. However, this movie right here, Doctor Who and the Daleks, which is the first time they adapted the Doctor Who stories into a feature film format, I actually don't mind. I've seen this in the past, and it's a pretty decent take on the Doctor Who mythos. It's a very different take. Some of the elements are designed quite differently. It's a bit of a different take on the character and his world and all this stuff, and I actually think it's quite good. It's more of like a more cinematic. It doesn't feel like this really cheap and cheesy kind of television sci-fi that we're used to with the television stuff. So I think this is actually a pretty decent classic movie, and I'm really happy to have it in my collection here on 4K. Once again, it's a Studio Canal release, so you know that the transfer here is absolutely top-notch. This pulls up looking gorgeous, as if it was shot yesterday. It is cinematic, it is crisp, the colors are wonderful, the black level levels. The handling of blacks and whites are so good. This movie looks fantastic, and I'm looking forward to the second one, which is Doctor Who Invasion Earth, I think it's called. That one's coming out next month in Australia. These have both been issued in the UK in two big fantastic box sets, which Doctor Who fans will absolutely love. Unfortunately, those box sets didn't get issued here in Australia, but I am personally happy to just kind of settle with this standard edition right here. Next up, we have got the Classics Remastered edition of Sir Laurence Olivier's Richard III. Shakespeare's powerful tale of the wicked, deformed king and his conquests, both on the battlefield and in the boudoir. Richard's military skills have helped to put his older brother on the throne, but jealousy and resentment cause him to seek the crown for himself, and he conceives a lengthy and calculated plan of deception, manipulation, and outright murder to achieve his goal. Richard III is one of Shakespeare's finest plays, and this version right here, this film version, is one of the finest film adaptations of one of Shakespeare's plays. Of course, we've got Sir Laurence Olivier in here, and no one did Shakespeare better than Sir Laurence. He is wonderful, and this is such a really beautiful film. This movie was remastered by the Film Foundation in the UK a little under 10 years ago now, probably about 10 years ago now. It was issued on Criterion Disc in the US, and there have been a number of releases of this movie in the UK over the years. I have a previous version from Network, but this is now finally coming out from Studio Canal. I imagine that they have probably used the exact same transfer right here, because that transfer was done from the original camera negatives and scanned in 4K and beautifully remastered, and it looks just absolutely stunning again, very filmic and really lifelike, and just a really stunning transfer. So I imagine they've used that same transfer that has been peddled around for the last kind of, 9 or 10 years. But that's totally fine, and it's great to finally get it on the local Australian market and in the studio, in this this Classics Remastered range. Because this movie was given a 4K master, I really wish they had given a 4K release to this, because I think it would just be one of the greatest on the format. But unfortunately, there doesn't seem to be a 4K release of this anywhere in the world, even though this has actually also just had a recent release under the Vintage Classics line over in the UK. Maybe a 4K is coming somewhere down the line. I'm not too sure. Whether we'll get on the Australian market is another question or not, but as it is, this movie pulls up stunningly on Blu-ray. And finally, we have another Classics Remastered edition, Gift Horse. In 1940, the Royal Navy is frantically recruiting for World War II, so pulls Lieutenant Commander Fraser out of retirement to captain the HMS Ballantrae, herself recently recommissioned and lent by the Americans to a seriously under-resourced British Navy. Gift Horse, also known as Glory at Sea, is one of the finest British war films. So many wonderful British war films were made between like the 1940s and 1960s, so many classics. I feel like this is one that's kind of flown under the radar over the years, but this is just such a great one, and I think it really stands up there with movies like The Battle of Britain, etc, etc. So great to have this movie on Blu-ray. It's out here in Australia as part of this Classics Remastered line, and it's available over in the UK as part of their Vintage collection. Studio Canal again, once again, fantastic transfer here. There's not much more I can say about these Studio Canal transfers other than they are absolutely stunning, and these, in particular, these vintage movies, these great classic movies, pull up looking so great and so cinematic, and definitely worth checking this out, especially if you're into your older classic movies, your war films and stuff like this. This is one of the greatest ones. And with that, that is all of the titles that have been sent into me from kicks.com.au. Once again, don't forget you can head over to their website and use the code DAVE15 at checkout to get 15% off your entire order. With that, we're going to take a look now at a couple of releases that have been sent in from Random Space Media. You know the drill. Well, you might not know the drill because it's actually been a little while since I've covered anything from Random Space Media. These guys are one of my favorites on the market at the moment. They are working hand in hand with the studios to get out kind of specialty releases that don't necessarily warrant like a widespread kind of regular retail release. A lot of their stuff is showing up now at JB Hi-Fi and on Amazon and all that kind of stuff, but mostly these are curated as kind of collector's pieces. There's stuff like they're releasing movies on 4K and 3D that these main studio arms didn't put out there on the market. Really great lavish box sets and all that kind of stuff. Most of the stuff that they are releasing are catalog titles that have been released on the market multiple times before, but they're releasing them in new ways. Occasionally they will put out a title that didn't get a Blu-ray release from the main studio arm, but simply got a DVD release or no release at all or whatever. Today we're going to spotlight a couple of new releases from them that are in that realm of movies that have been out on the market but are now out on the market in a kind of a different form or a different kind of packaging. We'll just go through these. I'll talk about what ones have just recently come out and go over all the box sets and all that kind of stuff, but let's just take a look at the new releases from Random Space Media. Firstly, we have got a new 3D issue of Dolittle starring Robert Downey Jr. There have, of course, been many versions of Dr. Dolittle over the years, but this is the latest one, which makes use of great special effects and animated characters and all this great stuff. Wasn't huge on the movie myself, and I know it didn't perform great at the box office, but it's a decent little watch, and it's a fun one for the family, and I'm always here to support any title that didn't get a Studio 3D release, finally getting a 3D release in some form. This one not only comes with a Blu-ray 3D disc, but a standard Blu-ray disc as well. Similarly, we have got a 3D issue of The Boss Baby Family Business. This is, of course, the sequel to The Boss Baby, the DreamWorks film, starring Alec Baldwin as a little boss baby. Wasn't too huge on either of these movies, though I did find the second one was slightly better than the first one. And again, I'm here to support any movie that gets a 3D release that didn't get one through the studio, particularly if it's an animated title, because animated things look really great on 3D usually. This one, again, not only comes with a 3D disc, but a standard 2D Blu-ray disc as well. We've also got a couple of new Spider-Man box sets which have just hit the market from Random Space. These are 9 movie box sets. There is a Blu-ray version and there is a 4K version. These include the original Sam Raimi trilogy movies, the 2 Amazing Spider-Man movies, the current trilogy of Marvel Cinematic Universe Spider-Man movies, as well as the animated Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Random Space has been really great with their handling of the Spider-Man franchise from Sony, who is one of the studios that they are dealing with. And they have got multiple Spider-Man box sets out there on the market, but this is the most expansive and most complete so far. Once again, there is a Blu-ray version of this and a 4K version of this. Each set just simply comes with its respective format, so there is no box set that has 4K and Blu-ray. You either buy the 4K one or you buy the Blu-ray one. I think this is really great because some studios try and bundle together like 9 movies with 4K and Blu-ray and then hike the price right up. But here, Random Space Media have actually given you the choice to either get 4K or get Blu-ray, and that keeps the price down on these box sets. You don't need to be spending extra for superfluous stuff that you don't want, don't need, aren't gonna watch. I think these 2 box sets are really, really great, and for me personally, who has actually never gotten around to picking up the original Spider-Man trilogy or the Amazing Spider-Man movies on 4K, but already have them on Blu-ray, this is a really, really great addition to my collection. I love that these are just big slipcover box sets, and inside are individual Amaray cases for each of the trilogies, or, you know, plus the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. So you can, if you are not a huge fan of these big box sets, you can just toss the box, or you can keep them all in the box for that added effect. I know that if you're a collector like me, you will keep the box. I just think these are really, really fantastic little collections right here. Similarly, we have got an issue of the Fast and the Furious 10 movie box set. This is exactly the same as the Spider-Man set. It comes with all 10 Fast movies so far, which is the 9 main franchise movies, plus the spin-off movie Fast and Furious Hobbs and Shaw. I enjoy all of these Fast and Furious movies, some more than others, you know, to varying degrees, but I've enjoyed most of them so far. Once again, we have got the great option of either having the Blu-ray box set here or the 4K box set. Again, this is all about keeping that price down and just making sure you get what version you need in your collection. Great for me. I have only got, I think, Fast 9 and Hobbs and Shaw in 4K prior to this, and now I have got the entire, you know, 1 to 8 or 1 to 9 in 4K now, which is awesome. And I'm gonna have them alongside my DVD, my Blu-rays as well, which is really great. So if you're in the market for the Fast and Furious movies, this is the absolute best way to pick these ones up so far. We've also got a 4-film collection of Godzilla and Kong on Blu-ray. This includes all 4 current films of Warner Brothers' Monsterverse franchise, which of course includes 2014's Godzilla, Kong Skull Island, Godzilla King of the Monsters, and Godzilla vs. Kong. I do previously own the first 3 movies of this, but I hadn't yet got around to picking up Godzilla vs. Kong, so now I can finally get that one into my collection. Really like the design of this. It's not an overly lavish set like the other ones, but does have a really nice artwork on it. And once again, it is a cheap and efficient way of getting all of these movies into your collection. Of course, there are tons more of these movies coming to us down the line, but for now, this is a really, really good way to catch up. Again, some really great sets right here from Random Space Media. These are all great. We've got Spider-Man Far From Home coming to us on 3D from Random Space Media next month as well. I'm hoping they send that over to me so I can spotlight it for you as well. Random Space doing some really great stuff. Of course, head over to randomspacemedia.com. You can pick up all of this stuff, plus so much more. Have a look around. They've got some really, really great releases over there. Okay, so now we're going to get on to some of my personal pickups over the last few months. Of course, it's the middle of the year, so there have been a ton of mid-year sales going on at the moment that I've been taking part in. So let's start off with the big one. This is the JB Hi-Fi buy one, get one free sale. They do this every single year. You buy one disc, you get the second one for free. It always works out that you get the cheapest one for free out of a bundle. So say you buy a $20 one, a $30 one, you pay $30 and you get the $20 one for free. I always say this every single year. I know it's a bit late to be giving tips on this sale, but you can use this for next year. Essentially, if you're going to buy a whole bundle of them, don't just throw them all into one order. You place individual orders. There's no point in buying like a bunch of $30 ones and a bunch of $5 ones in the same order, because you're only going to get those $5 ones for free. So what you do is if you've got two $30 ones, you go through the checkout with those two $30 ones and you buy them, you get a $30 one for free. Then you go through the checkout again, you get two $5 ones and put two $5 ones together. And now you have spent $35 for the 4 movies instead of $60 for the 4 movies. Kind of get my drift? And in more recent years, the last couple of years since the pandemic, we've been doing this entirely online, and it is easier to kind of avoid that awkward. I know some stores get a little bit funny about it if you want to do that individual transactions thing. So this is kind of an easier way to kind of get around that system of just placing very small orders if it's for pickup at a store, and then you go and pick them up either the next day or later that afternoon or whatever else. Now, I can't remember how much any of these things cost, but I think we didn't really pay much more than maybe $10, $15 a title for anything that came in here. Of course, there's a couple of box sets which did cost quite a bit more, but I'll talk about them as we go along the way. But anyway, let's take a look at all the titles that we got into our collection at this year's JB Hi-Fi buy one, get one free. On Blu-ray, we picked up The Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It. Yes, there is a 4K version of this out there, but I did take a look at the reviews on Blu-ray.com, and it said the 4K wasn't a huge jump above the Blu-ray, so I was happy to just pick this one up on Blu-ray. We also got The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard. I've heard bad things about this. People didn't really like it. I know people didn't really like the first one either, but hey, I did like the first one, so I'm keen to check this one out when I do get a chance. We picked up Mortal Kombat on Blu-ray. Again, this is another example of the 4K apparently not being that much better than the Blu-ray, so I was happy to pick up the Blu-ray. I like this movie. I enjoyed it. I didn't actually think it'd be my kind of thing, but I had quite a bit of fun with this. We picked up one of the most recent Liam Neeson movies, which is The Ice Road. This also co-stars Lawrence Fishburne. Haven't watched this yet, but I always love a Liam Neeson movie, even if they're really crap. Sometimes these are fun ones to just put on in an afternoon when you have nothing else to do. I picked up Annette, finally. This is a movie that I've heard so many really, really great things about. Stars Adam Driver, Mario Cotillard in there, and I'm just really, really, really keen to see this movie right here. Picked up Reminiscence, which is the the Hugh Jackman's kind of neo sci-fi noir kind of movie crime thing. I know it didn't have great reviews, but I'm really excited to check this out. I usually always like anything that Hugh Jackman does. Also picked up Pig, starring Nicolas Cage. I've been really wanting to watch this. Apparently it is absolutely fantastic. Cage has said it's the best movie he has ever done, so I'm very excited to get into that. Also picked up Spencer, starring Kristen Stewart. Again, have heard absolutely mixed things about this. I'm very interested in Princess Diana and her story, and I really like Kristen Stewart. She's done some really great stuff, so I'm keen to check that one out when I get a chance. Also got The Father with Anthony Hopkins and Olivia Colman. Of course, Anthony Hopkins won the Best Actor Oscar for this. It is apparently a really beautiful movie, and I cannot wait to watch it. We got Lin-Manuel Miranda's In the Heights. Don't really know too much about this. I'm not usually a huge musical fan, but I really liked Hamilton, so I'm kind of interested to have a look at this. We've also got a couple of new catalog titles which came out from Shock Entertainment, who I haven't really been working with recently, so I just picked these ones up personally. I picked up The Mexican, starring Brad Pitt and Julia Roberts. This is a really wonderful, I guess, middle to late 90s film. And we've also got the first Blu-ray issue of Red Eye, starring Rachel McAdams and Cillian Murphy. This is one of those mid, like 2010s horror thrillers that came out, really it's kind of a gateway horror movie maybe. I never got around to watching this one, so I'm finally excited to finally get a chance to watch that. Picked up a bunch of fairly recent 4Ks as well. Firstly is Dune. Absolutely love this movie. Honestly did not think I would love it because I'm not huge on like hard sci-fi, but I thought this was just such a beautiful spectacle. I saw it in the IMAX, but now got it on 4K Blu-ray, so I can't wait to give that one a spin again. And picked up The Matrix Resurrections, which I actually really enjoyed. I thought this was really fantastic. Again, it's another one that's getting kind of more mixed reviews, but I checked this one out in the cinema, really loved it, and wanted to get it in my collection in 4K to go alongside the other Matrix films. Got a couple of catalog 4Ks here as well, including The Shawshank Redemption. Finally got around to picking this one up. What else is there to say about The Shawshank Redemption? It's one of the greatest movies of all time, and the 4K apparently looks absolutely stunning. I also got Singin' in the Rain. This is the new 4K issue of this. Haven't got a chance to check this out. It's one of my favorite classic movies of all time. Gene Kelly is one of my absolute favorites, and Warner Brothers always does a really great job at cleaning up their classic catalog titles, so I'm really excited. And we also picked up a number of 4K box sets. Now the biggest deal, this is probably the biggest deal that I got out of this entire thing. I got the 2 X-Men 4K box sets right here, which is the Beginnings trilogy and just the standard like original 3 X-Men movies in 4K. I had all the Blu-rays from all those years ago. I kind of collected them along the way. Never got the 4Ks, but these were so cheap. I think these were something like $22 or $23 each, and we ended up getting each box set of 3 movies for like $12.50, which is insane. But this is what I was very much looking forward to. I've been waiting and waiting for this sale so I could pick up both the Lord of the Rings trilogy on 4K and the Hobbit trilogy on 4K. These of course include both versions of the movies, which is the original theatrical cut and the extended versions of the movies there. Lord of the Rings, some of my favorite movies of all time, grew up with them, absolutely adore them, and just sort of waiting. I would have picked these up earlier, but they released these 2 individually, and then they said, oh, we're going to do a big box set later in the year. It's going to be great. And the box set came out. It was very underwhelming and very expensive for what we got. So I then waited another year for the buy one, get one free to pick these both up. They were both, I think the Lord of the Rings trilogy was $70, and then the Hobbit trilogy was like $65. So I got them both for $70, which essentially came down to about $35 a box set, which is an absolute insane price. It comes down to like $10, $11 something per film on 4K, and again you get both versions of them. Each of these sets is like 9 discs. That is an insane price for these, and I could not pass that deal up. I think that is also, alongside the X-Men, the greatest deal we got from the JB Hi-Fi buy one get one free. Now absolutely every year after their buy one get one free sale, JB Hi-Fi also do like a 20% off sale, which happens maybe 1, 2 or 3 weeks later. The funniest thing with the buy one get one free is that all the discs go go back up to regular retail price. There's very few titles that remain at like a sale price. Then a couple of weeks later, when they do their 20% off sale, they drop a lot of stuff back down to their sale prices. They start doing multi-buy deals like 2 for 20, 2 for 30, etc, etc. And you end up getting a really, really good deal. You get like the, the bundle deal plus the 20% off, and you're essentially getting stuff for the price that you would have got it in the buy one, get one free sale. In some cases, you actually get titles a little bit cheaper than you would have a couple of weeks ago at the buy one, get one free. You're just gonna have to play the game a little bit. So we did take part in the 20% off sale this year. They had a great 2 for $20 deal. So that gets each movie down to $10 each. You apply 20% off on top of that. You save an additional $4. So you're essentially getting 2 for $16, which then makes each title like $8 each, which is always a really good deal. But this year we actually managed to find a bunch of catalog titles that maybe we just haven't picked up over the year for one reason or another. Some of this is kind of bottom of the barrel stuff, but some of it is also really great stuff that I'm looking forward to getting into. Let's take a look at what we got in this year's 2 for 20 plus 20% off sale. We got the 1517 to Paris, which is a very middling Clint Eastwood movie. I saw this at the cinemas. It wasn't great, but I was actually surprised to find that I didn't have this in my collection because I usually buy anything and everything Clint Eastwood. So I finally got this one in the collection. I got Operation Red Snake, which is a French film which has a multitude of other names around the world. I can't remember them off the top of my head. It's essentially about this female fighting team. It's a true story about this female fighting team in the Middle East. It looks quite good. It's got kind of mixed reviews, but I'm looking forward to seeing that one. We've got another female fighter film, which is Rogue, starring Megan Fox. Again, mixed reviews on this. Some people are saying absolute trash. Some people are saying this is great. Megan Fox is great. I do like Megan Fox stuff. So again, for a very, very cheap, I was happy to pick this one up. We got another Megan Fox film here called Till Death. Don't know too much about this. I know it's kind of like a horror thriller, but apparently it is actually really, really good. It's a fairly recent movie too. So we've got Guns Akimbo starring Daniel Radcliffe and Samara Weaving. Again, heard mixed things about this, but I love Daniel Radcliffe. I think he does some of the coolest, quirkiest movies and just really enjoy everything he does. And this apparently just an absolutely insane movie. I picked up Isle of Dogs. This is the only Wes Anderson movie that I realized I actually don't have in my collection or I haven't seen. So finally picked this one up. I usually don't like his stop motion stuff because it's really, really creepy. I think this is why I haven't picked it up until now, but got it quite cheap, so I was happy to get that one in the collection. We got one here called Dangerous. This stars Scott Eastwood, Kevin Durant, Famke Janssen, Tyrese Gibson, and Mel Gibson. Again, mixed things about this, but I enjoy the work of pretty much everyone that is in this movie, and it just looks like a brainless, dumb action film with strong violence, as it says on there. That's my kind of thing for like a Friday or a Saturday night. Also managed to grab one of the more recent DC animated films, Injustice, to add to my growing collection of DC animated movies. I'm only missing a couple now, including the most recent one, which is the Catwoman film. I think there's a Batman, Superman one coming out soon. But anyway, I've got this one into my collection now, so that's one less I have to get. This one, of course, was not part of the 2 for 20 deal, but I did get a really great deal on this one. This is, of course, the brand new The Batman movie on 4K ultra high definition in Steelbook. I'm not a huge Steelbook collector these days, but I do usually pick them up if I really love the movie and I really love the artwork that is featured on the steel, and I absolutely love this one here. The release of this actually happened to coincide with the 20% off sale, which is great. It's usually really hard to get these DC Steelbooks unless you get in there right away, so this teed up very, very good. Now, the great thing about this is that it had a regular retail of like $40 odd, but for some reason they had slashed the price to $35, and then you were able to get that 20% off sale on top of it, so it ended up coming to be like $28 or $29 or something like that. I thought that is an absolute bargain for a brand new movie in 4K in a Steelbook, usually paying like $50 for Steelbooks, and this sold out really, really quickly. I think the day after I ordered this one online, it was out of stock absolutely everywhere, so very happy to get this one in the collection in this form. Okay, so that is it for the JB Hi-Fi mid-year sales. Let's take a look at the Amazon mid-year sales. Of course, Amazon just recently had their Prime Day sale. The great thing now I love with Amazon is that you can import almost anything through the global store, and it's usually quite cheap. And the Prime Day sales have kind of trickled over from the international Amazon stores into Amazon Australia. So I placed an order on both Amazon US and Amazon UK through the global store through Amazon Australia and got some really great Amazon Prime Day deals. First, let's take a look at the stuff that I got from Amazon US as part of Prime Day. Firstly, I picked up the fantastic Rugrats 3-movie collection on Blu-ray. I absolutely adored the Rugrats. It is one of my favorite animated series of all time. Loved it as a kid, still love it now. The movies are really, really wonderful too. Apparently these have cleaned up beautifully on Blu-ray. I haven't had a chance to check it out. This actually just arrived today, but it has got the Rugrats in Paris, and the Rugrats Go Wild. This was usually, I think the regular retail on this is about $50, but it came down to $30 as a Prime Day exclusive, so I had to snap that one up straight away. And I also picked up a couple of Criterion Collection 4Ks. These are my first 4Ks from the Criterion Collection, and they are actually my first US imports from the Criterion Collection. I don't usually buy US Criterions because they're region locked, but of course 4K is not region locked, so I'm happy to get these into the collection. Of course, the Blu-rays that are bundled with them are region locked, which is a bit annoying. And I do have a region-free player. It's not the greatest player, but I'm happy to watch special features through it, not usually movies though. So of course I picked up the Citizen Kane 4K box set. This is a multi-disc set with the movie on 4K and a whole bunch of bonus features. This was released on the local market from Warner Brothers. It was a studio release. I had a single 4K disc, and that would have only cost me like $10, $12, part of the, you know, JB Hi-Fi buy one, get one free sale. But I wanted to pick up this Criterion edition because of these extra discs and all the exclusive bonus features that are presented across all the Blu-rays here. This is definitely the definitive collection of this classic movie, which I absolutely adore. So I was happy to grab that. I also picked up Double Indemnity on 4K, which is one of the greatest film noirs ever made. Fred MacMurray, Barbara Stanwyck, Edward G. Robinson. It is just terrific. And apparently this has pulled up looking absolutely stunning in 4K, just as Citizen Kane has. Now, Criterion usually does a buy one, get one free sale in the US every year. It's really hard to take part in that sale from Australia though. But thankfully this one did filter over into the Amazon Prime Day sale this year. So these were both slashed to 50% off. They came down to about $40 each. And then there was some random like buy two, get 7% off voucher code on top of that. So I got these both for about $39, $40 each, which I think was a really good price for not only a Criterion, but 4K Criterions. So really happy to get them in the collection. That was it from the Amazon US Prime Day deals. So let's take a look at a couple of titles I picked up from Amazon UK Prime Day deals. I picked up another classic movie on 4K, which is The Guns of Navarone. This is a movie I've had on Blu-ray for many, many years, and for some reason just never got around to watching it, so now I'm really excited to watch it in 4K. Apparently the transfer is stunning, and I finally picked up the complete collection of Fawlty Towers, which is one of the greatest series ever made. It is hilarious. John Cleese is just terrific in this show, and it's so good. I've been holding off to get a good deal on this because it's usually about $30, $40, and for Prime Day it was marked down in price. And then there was an additional buy two, get 20% off code as well, which I applied to both Fawlty Towers and Guns of Navarone, and I got them both really, really cheaply. I think they both came down to about $20 each, which I was happy to pay for both of these. Now, eBay surprisingly even had some sort of weird mid-year sale going on. They had like a 20% off coupon that you could use, so I picked up a couple of titles that I've been kind of just eyeing off on eBay for a little while. Let's take a look at those. We picked up the Fantastic Four and Fantastic Four 2 Rise of the Silver Surfer. These are two Marvel movies that I, for some reason, never picked up on Blu-ray. These were like, I think they came down to like $5 each or something once I applied that 20% off, which I think was a really good deal. They're both secondhand, but both in really great condition right there. I finally got my hands on The Preacher's Wife. This is one of the, I think this is the sole Disney Blu-ray release that I never managed to pick up. It has evaded me for so long because it went out of print, and then people were selling on eBay for like $50. I found someone who put it up for really cheap. I ended up getting it for about $10 in the end, so I was very happy with that. And also I picked up Cracker Jack. This is a really great Australian comedy movie from, I guess, the early to mid 2000s, starring Mick Malloy, one of my favorites. I've had this on DVD, but it was finally time to upgrade to Blu-ray for, again, I think it was about $10. We've got one final sale to take a look at here. Signal One, which is another really great boutique label in the UK, had a massive sale for mid-year, and I did a huge swoop of Signal One titles probably about 6 or 7 months ago, where it just turned out really cheap to go on. I think everything was marked down to like £4 or something, and I got to the checkout, it like took off a bunch of VAT, and everything was just really dirt cheap. They have done another sale. It didn't work out as cheap for me this time around as it did last time, but there were a few other titles that I didn't pick up last time, and a few newer releases that I obviously hadn't picked up yet that I finally got a chance to get. I think their sale was like basically every title was marked down to £9 or something, and then again you get to the checkout, it takes a little bit off with the VAT. Some titles came down to like £7, and then on top of that you do have to pay shipping, but just as last time, if you add enough stuff into your basket, once it removes the VAT, you end up saving more on VAT than you are spending on shipping, and it actually works out cheaper for you to import these titles than it would be for you to buy the titles in the UK and send them to a UK address. And then when that is the case, it's just a no-brainer to make a big order. So I placed another big order here, I think for about 9 titles. These are mostly classic movies from 20th Century Fox, and of course the 20th Century Fox catalogue is owned by Disney now, so outside of these Signal One releases, there is absolutely no chance these movies are ever getting another physical release ever again because of how clamped down Disney has become on all these titles. So anyway, let's take a look at the ones I've picked up from Signal One right here. First up, we picked up Rio Conchos. This is a Western movie, I guess from 1950s, 1960s. Really don't know anything about it, don't know much about anyone who's in it, or you know, really ever heard about the movie, but it was cheap. It was a 20th Century Fox Western. I love my Westerns from the era, so I gotta check it out. We got one called The Earth Dies Screaming. This is like a 50s, 60s sci-fi movie. I think it only goes for about 60 minutes, but I love these kind of trashy, schlocky sci-fis from the era. They're so lame and just so much fun. We got The Sheriff of Fractured Jaw, which is a comedy Western starring Kenneth More and Jane Mansfield. I realized I actually don't have any Jane Mansfield films in my collection, so very excited to get this one. Picked up Nightmare Alley, which is one of the greatest film noirs ever made from the early 1940s, starring Tyrone Powell. Of course, this was remade recently by Guillermo del Toro, which is also a really terrific movie, the remake, but I love the original as well. So I am very happy to get one of my favorite film noirs on Blu-ray finally. We've also got The Razor's Edge, which is a drama film starring Tyrone Power and a huge cast of others. Again, don't know too much about this one, but it's produced by Daryl F. Zanuck, who did some really great classic movies, so I'm keen to have a look at that one. And finally, we picked up O. Henry's Full House. This is a movie with a huge cast, another one of these great classic movies where they just have an enormous cast involved in them, and it is one of the earliest film appearances of my favorite, Marilyn Monroe. So I absolutely had to grab this kind of obscure Marilyn Monroe film for the collection. And with that, that is all the titles that we are going to take a look at in this video. Thanks again to kicks.com.au and Random Space Media for sending me over a whole bunch of stuff. Don't forget to head over to kicks.com.au and use Dave15 at checkout to get 15% off your order. And I hope you enjoyed seeing my pickups from the mid-year sales. I'd also love to know what pickups you got from the mid-year sales, because I know people get some really good pickups this time of year, which is always great. Thanks again for watching to everybody out there. I really appreciate your support, you watching me sit here for like an hour talking crap about Blu-rays and physical media. It's one of my favorite things to do, and I'm so glad that there's still support for these videos out there. So thanks again for watching. Until next time, take it easy. I'll see you on the next one.